Injustice 2 Number 1. Written by Tom Taylor, pencils by Bruno Redondo, inks by Juan Albaran, and colors by Rex Locus. If you're new to my channel, then maybe you missed when we started up a couple years ago, and I was gushing all about the epic, nearly perfect comic that was Injustice Gods Among Us. I created an honest comic trailer for the first 2 years of Injustice, and one of my very first binging on comics, all of which will be linked down in the description, just because I do talk about it a lot. But does this mean that Tom Taylor and the gang can knock it out of the park again? Well, let's start with the plot for this issue. Superman has been captured after he went full Palpatine from the first Injustice comic series. And God, that spark is still there because we have a phenomenal talk between Batman and the now caged Superman about what he wanted, and now that, spoilers, Batman won, Bats is going to restore the world. Yet Superman knows that when Batman takes the reins, he'll never be able to let go of that control. He'll always be a scared little boy trying to stop 2 bullets. And then there's Harley Quinn. Oh man, I truly love Harley's new outfit on so many different levels. But she's been staying at the Quiver, you know, the Arrow Cave, and there's another emotional scene if you've read the previous comic series, before Amanda Waller bursts through the wall to recruit Harley to the new Suicide Squad with extreme prejudice. So, short answer is yes, I love this start to the next great installment in the Injustice universe. And I can wholeheartedly admit that it may be in part because I've read the previous series, year 1 through 5, and there's points in this that are definitely paying off more when you've been following this series, such as Harley's emotional phone call while she's at the Arrow Cave, which even calling it the Quiver is a reference to Harley's story throughout Injustice. But it's not totally worthless to those who have absolutely no clue about the universe, or even that this is a video game licensed comic. The comic sets up right after the video game, more or less, so you can gather by reading what happens there, at least in what we see between the Batman-Superman talk. However, the Harley bit could be harder, if only because it does ride on her being the best character out of the Injustice comics. On the talent side, Tom Taylor knows what he's doing with these characters. It isn't him just going, I wanted an evil Superman, and then making him evil. The last 5 years of comics evolved Superman from being the beacon of hope and all the good things like puppies and kittens and war bonds into being this dark dictator of the world. And in this, we see a close on him being captured, but now the reins are in Batman's hands, which could change Bat since he does have control issues. It's an epic talking scene, even if you only know the basics of the characters, so it will hit you right in the fanboy. As for the art, Redondo's art paired with a great inker and a fantastic colorist does what great art should always do. It elevates the mood and the atmosphere of the comic without ever detracting from it. I know I keep bringing up this scene, but the Bat Soups back and forth at the very beginning has such weight to it, not only because of the dialogue, but because of the moody art that adds the heaviness that makes it one of the best moments in comics. To me. Okay, maybe just a really great moment in comics. And no, I'm not just praising Redondo because I eventually want to have enough money to commission him to do a version of my avatar for this channel. That's just one of the many reasons why I think his art is nice. Again, I go into basically praising all of these concepts, writings, and art in my Binging on Comics for Injustice Year 1. So if you're curious about an expanded view of all this, the link is in the description. So what's my verdict on the sequel series to one of my favorite DC comics of all time? Yeah, the last one is that good. Well, obviously, it's not only a buy it for this issue. I mean, it is only $1 an issue after all, but this gets the rare verdict of collect it. Collect it means that it's not just about getting the issue. It deserves to have the whole series, Injustice Gods Among Us, and the current series owned and collected, as well as not being a shame if you did go out and pick up the peripheral material, like the games they're made for, or some of the action figures that have come out. But that's all for today. If you agree that this comic was a great next installment to the Injustice comic series, or if you think that it's just as bad as every other video game licensed comic, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other 2 channels, ComicSins and A Comic a Day, for even more comic book reviews, discussions, and fun. Please become a patron to support this channel, and soon we'll actually be able to afford a real editor so I can get more vids out and have real editing throughout, like even pictures on it. Ooh. And as always, stay golden, Inklings.